people joining us on Zoom already. Okay. Let us know your introductions. Quickly introduce yourself. Let me know your name and the city that you're from. My name is Aparna. I'm going to be your host for today, and I am streaming from Bangalore, India. Sarabjeet, hi. Everyone else, quickly introduce yourself. Yukon, hi. Diana, Arif, Niraj, Varun, hi. Nice to watch you. Nice to have you here in the session. Sahana, hi. Adarsh, okay. Sandeep, Sagarika, Abdul, Preksha, Lokesh, hi. Great, great. A lot of you. Okay, we already have close to 150 people in the webinar. When we have more of learners joining in shortly, also on LinkedIn and YouTube. So we're going to have a lot of people watching us today. Great, great. Keep those introductions coming. We are about to get started. Hi, Callie. Hi, Rajeshwari. Lamin. Okay. Rajan. Hi. From Nepal. Okay. Interesting. Okay. We have Parth from Ahmedabad. Hi, Parth. Hi, Rupashri. Hi, Balu. Hi, Carlos. Hi, Robin. Stuart. Okay. Tanmay. Hi. Okay. A lot of you from different time zones. So good morning, good evening, wherever you're joining. Also to audience watching us on our social platforms. Good morning, good evening to you. Right, so we all know why we're gathered here. We're here to understand how data science and data scientist roles are evolving with agentic AI, right? So before we start, I think it makes sense for us to understand you guys a bit. So let us know if you already are in touch with what's happening around agentic AI, whether you're aware, whatever that is, let me know through this poll. Okay. Now, if you're watching us on LinkedIn or on YouTube, you might not know which poll I'm talking about. So we are trying to understand how much you guys are aware about the evolutions of agentic AI. So if you are a complete beginner, let us know on the comments. It'll be helpful for us to kind of tweak our conversation and the information that we share with you. Yeah? Yes. Yes. People who are joining in, quickly leave in your introductions on the chat. Also, let us know on the poll as to how much you are aware about agentic AI. Okay, this will help us understand you guys a little better. Yes, we're also going to introduce Bassel to you shortly. He'll take you through the session. He'll help you understand what skills you need with agentic AI coming up, how firstly these roles in business intelligence, in data science are changing, evolving, becoming better with agentic AI coming in. Okay. And towards the end, we'll also handle questions. You might have a lot of questions around how it can change further, what's coming up next, what you should be prepared for. It can be anything. So, yeah. Yes. Okay. On the poll, use the poll always. Okay. Farhan, Deepak, hi. Nice to have you. Great. Great. So I'm just going to end the poll right here and share these results with Bassel. Bassel, I think you can see the poll results now. About majority of them are beginners, just know a little bit about them. The others, very few are 10% of them, are already up to date. So yeah, right. Great, great. Thanks so much for your responses. This actually helps. Yes, so we'll get started with the session just in a bit. But this question really was to understand you guys, a little before we start. Okay, so if you are here for the first time in Simplilearn webinars, just give me a quick yes, very quick yes. Are you here for the first time? You're hearing about Simplilearn for the first time. Is that Yeah, yeah, no, okay, okay. Majority of you, yes. First time. All right. All right. So this is your first ever webinar with Simplilearn, and you found this topic interesting. Okay, this webinar is free, but in this webinar, we'll also be talking about how the Purdue Professional Certificate in Data Science and Gen AI can help you gain whatever skills you need to be up to date. Yeah, so we'll talk about that towards the end, and that is a paid course. Okay, so because all of you are newcomers, let me introduce Simplilearn to you. So Simplilearn is the world's biggest digital skills provider. We offer skills in various domains. As you can see, we have courses in Gen AI, we have courses in data science, AI, machine learning, business analytics, cloud service, cybersecurity. So we've got a bunch of certifications and career-aligned learning paths. So for people who are new, you should know that we have more than 700 live sessions in a month, and we've got trainers from 150, more than 150 countries. So in our journey, which started in 2010, we have touched more than 8 million learners worldwide. Okay. And we've got these courses. We've launched a bunch of courses in partnership, in collaboration with leading institutions like Purdue, UMass, Amherst. We've also launched a few courses with Virginia Tech. We also have courses with industry leaders such as PMI, PeopleCert. We've got partnerships with IBM. So you will know about how this course in collaboration with Purdue is going to give you that edge in your resume. We'll talk about that towards the end. Okay. So we're just about to get started, but I would like to introduce Bassel first. And yes, I will talk about the webinar certificate and the recording, the most popular question that we get. So Bassel offers data-driven decisions to his clients. He's done that. He's been doing that for more than 16 years now, and he leads 3 very dynamic teams. Marketing, growth, analytics. He also leads the data quality and automation, reporting and visualization, of course. And he offers insights that drive impact for a lot of his clients, right? So he's also a content creator, and he's a trainer for a lot of our courses, including the one that we're going to be talking about towards the end, in collaboration with all of these universities, Caltech, UCSD, and Purdue. Okay, so welcome, Bassel, once again. I'll let you introduce yourself, and then we'll get started.
Thank you, Aparna. Hello, everyone. Happy to be here. As Aparna mentioned, I currently lead multiple teams under the umbrella of strategic analytics and data science. We also work with different domains. So think about our business mainly is for healthcare, and with that, there's a lot of complexity and a lot of solutions that need to be developed to tackle on growth, marketing, and all the way to monitoring the well-being of our patients and looking at our providers and their performance. So we have multiple teams that are basically focusing on building measurable insights and providing business outcomes through different types of users or end users that will leverage our advanced analytics and machine learning solutions.
Great, great. So yeah, I did miss out on the fact that you handle healthcare clients. Great to have you, Bassel. Let's quickly get started. But before that, remember, you might have a lot of questions about how you can switch to data science. How is it really going to be helpful to you in your career? How this course is going to be helpful? All of these questions. So make sure you use the Q&A box. It's different from the chat box. Remember, there are nearly 250 of you here, so we might miss your message on the chat box. So please make sure you use the Q&A box for any question that you may have, and we'll try our best to address all of them. A lot of people here are beginners, right? So we'll make sure that we are keeping our conversation beginner friendly. We're also answering questions that revolve around transitioning, becoming a data scientist, and all of that, right? So if we miss your question, do not worry. We definitely would be able to answer that towards the end. But as and when relevant, I'll try and take questions. Okay, as and when relevant to the topic that we're discussing. Yeah. So remember that this this webinar is also being recorded and you will receive a certificate in the next 24 hours. So we'll collect your name towards the end through a poll, very similar to the one that I launched. We'll collect your name and send out the certificates in the next 24 hours. Okay? Yeah. So you will also receive the recording link. So do not worry if you miss something right now. Just make sure you stay till the end, give in your name so that you receive the certificate and also the recording. Yeah. We will share the link to the recording after the webinar, Vaishnavi. Yeah. But try and ensure that you are staying till the end. And if these ground rules are clear, again, a quick thumbs up, please, because we get repeated questions on the webinar certificate, on the recording. So we don't want to be answering these questions. We want to make sure that you're gaining the best out of the session. Yes, yes, great, great. People on LinkedIn and YouTube, in case you're joining us, please leave in your quick introductions on the chat, and we'll be also monitoring questions there. So if you have questions, please put them there, and then I'll pass it on to the speaker. Okay, great, great. So since all of you are ready to go, let's start, Basil. Firstly, I think a lot of people would want to understand before we talk about how these roles have evolved, what exactly is agentic AI, and then how it's different from Gen AI and traditional AI, and what skills would they need to make sure that they're up to date, right? So let's start with understanding what agentic AI is, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. So agentic AI is basically a fascinating and very influential concept in the world of AI and machine learning. It's also advancing very rapidly. So what we know today could probably change tomorrow. So
Mm.
I highly encourage people to always stay tuned to new publishing, new methodologies, and there's obviously the foundational aspect of it that we need to focus on always, but something that's always emerging and advancing very rapidly. But basically, in a nutshell, it refers to artificial intelligence systems that are implemented uh, and designed to carry on specific tasks autonomously. So they are able to basically do everything from A to Z and make decisions, take actions with minimal human intervention. So you do not want to influence those systems because they do work or they're driven by data basically.
Mm.
And that is a great advantage because if you think about it, us humans at this point, there's so much data around and complex information. And for us to process that data on the fly, it's becoming very cumbersome, almost impossible, if I may say. And therefore, you need a system that can automate that process. A lot of businesses are moving and advancing very rapidly. Therefore, you need something that can at least take care of the mundane tasks and have humans basically focus on the creative aspect of the business.
Mhm. Right. So maybe we will talk about this later, but Basil, quick question on how these AI agents automate these redundant tasks. So just a quick insight on that, or maybe in layman's terms.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So they have multiple stages. We break down those stages into 5 steps.
Mm-hmm.
You have the first one is called perceive. So
Mm-hmm.
you gather insights, you gather information to process the data from the environment. So you have to give it access to the data in order to perform the task. Then they also have the second step is reason. Now, it's not exactly like human reasoning, but it's reasoning based on its own logic. And it'll analyze the information, try to extract patterns in the data, and give you predictions.
Got
And
it.
then after that, it's going to start developing strategies. This is what we call the plan phase. So it's going
Right.
to start building strategies and sequence of actions to achieve those objectives. And
Right.
then once it's done with the planning, it will do what we call the act phase or performing action. So it's going to execute the task based on its assessment with that dynamic environment.
Mm-hmm.
And then another important feature that's like the last phase is adaptability. It's able to learn from its mistakes and over time improve upon its initial solution
Mm-hmm.
over time. That's what makes it very, very powerful.
Hmm. Hmm. Got it. Understood. Understood. So how is this really different from generative AI or the traditional AI? How's it really different?
Yeah, very good question. With
Hmm.
traditional AI, basically, maybe we can look at just the essence of how that works.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have multiple fields. We have agentic AI, generative AI, and traditional AI. Traditional AI, think of it as the basic concept or the foundation, right?
Hmm.
So you have basically AI solutions or systems that are designed to give you specific tasks and predictions, but they are still guided by humans. You're still, obviously, you're not interfering with its logic, but you are governing the amount of data and what data to see. And then by the same token, in the solution, you are consuming that solution and then making a decision. So
Right.
it doesn't have the capability of making a decision. That's the key difference of between traditional AI and agentic AI. With
Hmm.
agentic AI,
Hmm.
it's traditional AI plus the decision-making capability. And also to add to the mix is the last component I mentioned earlier,
Hmm.
where it proves upon itself. It tries to evaluate its outcome and learn from its mistakes
Hmm.
and eventually provide better solutions over time. So there's an evolve component to
Right.
agentic AI versus traditional.
Got it. Got it. So I think a lot of learners had this question about how this is different from Gen AI and traditional. I think that's answered now. But someone
Yeah.
has a very interesting question about how agentic AI is different from RPA, or does it work on the same principle as RPA?
You're gonna have to give me an example,
Hmm.
basically like different how
Yeah, I
in
think
terms of like
Sunday, whoever posted that
yeah,
question, maybe
like a
repost the
specific
question.
application,
Yeah.
basically, it'll
Yeah.
help, obviously. But with the automation
Hmm.
process, so IPA, by the way, let's take a step back for others in the audience. IPA stands for intellectual process
RPA,
automation. Yeah,
robotic process automation. So RPA.
RPA.
Yeah, robotic
Okay.
process automation.
I,
Yeah,
I believe it's, yeah, so it's still process automation.
yeah.
Well, the key difference here is that you do have some human intervention in terms of rule-based.
Hmm.
Agentic AI,
Hmm.
you have full autonomy. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
You are maybe, let's call this as you have phase, I defined all the phases earlier. Let's call this, you have phase of providing data for the agentic AI all the way to making the decision. The agentic AI is automatically making the decision and acting. And plus, you have to think about it in a way you can have multiple agentic AI systems chained together. So
Hmm.
you are barely interfering in that, and they are interacting with each other, and that chain is linked together. That's a behavior you don't see much in those automated systems that we're asked about, right? So those automated systems, they'll have some rule-based influence, plus they tend to have just one system, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Not multiple systems chained together. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Understood. Understood. So why is agentic AI? I mean, I know why it's important, but why does it matter in the context of the data scientist roles or business intelligence roles? Why does it really matter, or how is it significant?
Yeah, it's very significant because one problem that we have as data scientists or data analysts is the huge volumes of data that we deal with. You know,
Mm.
there are new technologies emerging with recording data, you know, new sensors, new devices, new, we call this Internet of Things or IoTs,
Yes.
where you know your phone is recording data, your watch, your alarm, everything around you is recording data. So there's so
Mm.
much data to deal with and work with,
Mm.
and just to have a data analyst trying to sort through billions of rows, that is very cumbersome. It takes actually a very long time. So this is where agentic AI is very essential in at least helping with that task. So this is one task. Obviously, there are a lot of other tasks that can do, but just think of just data pre-processing and organizing of the data into let's say, structured. So something from unstructured to structured data form. Yeah.
Sorry, I was on mute. Understood, understood. So does this mean, and because you could answer this the best, does this also mean that agentic AI will kind of, because it's the next new evolution in AI, will it replace traditional AI or the Gen AI models? How do you see that evolving further or changing further?
Yeah, it's definitely a new evolution. Just think of this as it's not exactly completely different system than traditional AI. It's
Mm,
traditional AI with additional functionality, right? The
okay.
autonomy aspect and the adaptability aspect.
Mm,
So it is changing the paradigm of machine learning and deployment.
mm,
But I know certain companies, they do not like to have full autonomy. Therefore, I see traditional data science will remain relevant for a period of time just for
got
that reason. And,
right.
and you still want to have, for certain sensitive topics or fields, you still want to have some human intervention and
Mhm,
control.
mhm. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, any use cases that you think, if you could highlight, maybe the learners do have questions on where or whether human intervention is not required at all. Is that risky, or is that something someone needs to be careful about? So, if you can just give us some use cases of, say, where agentic AI really helps and how it's different from traditional AI.
Yeah, for example, a relevant field, healthcare. So it can
Yeah,
help a lot with monitoring patient data
yeah.
streams and looking at lab results, looking at vitals,
Hmm.
trying to detect patterns, anomalies, for example, in certain records, a sudden blood sugar spikes
Hmm.
in for diabetic patients. So these would be examples, automatically updating, let's say, certain models that help with doing early disease detection. So
Yeah.
improving even data. So they're very powerful now with improving and cleaning the data for healthcare if it needs to be consumed for a different purpose.
Hmm.
So I would say anomaly detection is a big application for it. And
Got
then the action from that aspect is to send alert, to notify doctors, notify people. There's no harm if there's a notification at the end of the day. If
Yeah.
that is a false alarm, obviously it could be inconvenient to the doctor or
Yes.
the healthcare professional,
Yes.
but better to report something than not
Yes.
report it at
Then
all.
not
Right?
reporting it. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah,
In the case of healthcare, I mean, anything is information. I mean, anything is helpful, right? So whether or
yeah.
not you use the information is left to the doctor's discretion, but yeah, it does help, if it automates these processes. Great. So I think let's get to understanding how these roles are different. But maybe if before we start talking about how agentic AI has changed things, we could understand how traditionally data science and business intelligence roles have been. Maybe if you can just highlight that first.
Yeah, yeah, and absolutely. The survey we launched earlier is very
Yeah.
helpful. I'm going to take a step back and talk about something that's very, very important in the industry of machine learning and data science is that, and a lot of people actually miss that step, is the focus on having good data, good, reliable data. And you might have an argument, well, aren't we at a stage where we could implement systems that would provide good data? Yes, we can. But the problem here is when you're solving for new applications, you
Mm,
always deal with new data that's still not structured enough. So you can apply a machine learning solution, or let's say you're even building a dashboard. A lot of data analysts on our team, they spend ample time of cleaning the data, organizing it, sometimes aggregating it to get it in a better format that is suitable for a dashboard or even for a statistical analysis. So, data handling is a very important concept. So, data cleaning, data pre-processing. In fact, something that I teach in some of my lectures, I tell new data scientists is that expectation is that you will spend at least 70 to 80% of your time on the data cleansing and data pre-processing aspect before you start building your machine learning algorithm and deploy it on your solution. So that's like the 20-30%, so to speak. So some applications, like you need to normalize the data, you need to encode it. Encoding is a technique in machine learning where you have to convert text data into numbers in order for these systems to understand it. Machine learning systems, they cannot process text data. They basically, to process text data, it has to be translated into numbers. So that is a big part of the data preparation process. And this is where agentic AI can step in and recognize or discover opportunities where it can automatically update and fix the data for you or prepare it. So that's one aspect. And then you have insights, right? So deriving insights, coming up with summaries and analogies based on the metrics that are being implemented in a specific report or statistical summary. Um, Agentic AI can help with that. But these are some of the, I would say, in today's world, these are some of the steps that require human intervention, and they're manual and they take time. Therefore, you need an automated process that can help with that as much as possible.
Hmm. 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 Understood. So you mean to say that, someone had a similar question. So the process of, say, data processing will that become automated with agentic AI? Will we be able to make, if not better predictions, but will we be able to automate predictions? Is that what you're suggesting will happen with agentic AI coming in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could happen. So when you say automate predictions, if that prediction is, it depends on how you're going to use it, what application you're going to use it for.
Hmm.
For
Hmm.
example, if you are trying to send an AI agent to look into the data, prepare it, and then give you high-level summary of the data, I think that's a very effective application of it. Just give you some insights.
Hmm.
Let's say you're trying to build a new project, brand new project. It could be a prototype,
Hmm.
and you want to see if that prototype is viable or not. Agentic AI can go just like a scout. You can send it, and it can come up with a summary, automatically give you some predictions
Hmm.
that will give you insights whether this is a project that you could pursue or you need to focus on something else. So that could also save you time.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
So just to summarize, is this summary correct? Maybe agentic AI automates data wrangling, pre-processing, interpretation, and action-based prediction. So is this summary accurate, or would you like to add something extra to what is already there?
Yeah, absolutely. And before even data wrangling, I want to bring up a very important point here is that there is a term we use in data science also important called exploratory data analysis. I
Right.
focus on that one a lot because this is where you explore patterns in the data that you never thought about before, or this is where you get an understanding that your data still needs more elements to it to have a better summary or to send it to a machine learning algorithm.
Hmm.
And agentic AI can help with that. And then
Hmm.
speaking with data wrangling,
Hmm.
how would you know what to do with data wrangling or what to do to fix the data if you don't have some insights about it? And that's where agentic AI can help. It can also perform the task of data wrangling, obviously.
Hmm.
And just to take a step back in terms of definition, what we mean by data wrangling, in certain scenarios, you may have data sets with outliers, extreme values that
Yeah.
could really cause bias and
Hmm.
issues in your machine learning algorithm.
Hmm.
So you need to clean up things like outliers. You need to have replace missing values. This is a process that we call imputation in data science.
Hmm.
And all that stuff could be automated in machine learning and
Hmm.
using agentic AI.
Understood. Okay. Actually, learners have some really interesting questions. I think I'll just address a couple of them. One that talks about, okay, so if agentic AI is really evolving and automating things, what are the biggest ethical challenges that we'll need to address before it takes the autonomy? Someone had another question, similar question here. So, will it give wrong predictions, or will it give us wrong insights compared to traditional AI? So, how would you address that?
Yeah, so we're talking about governance, which is a very
Yeah,
important
yeah,
part of this whole process, right? It
yeah,
does
yeah.
require a structured approach.
Hmm. Hmm.
You have to be obviously careful because, like I said, those are autonomous systems.
Yeah.
So when you deploy that system, make sure that you spend enough time on testing it and checking its output as much
Hmm.
as you can.
Hmm.
Um, so there are obviously ethic concerns. So you can have bias and fairness, where AI agents will probably lean towards specific segment in the population to come up with some summary.
Hmm.
There are systems implemented. For example, at my company, we have um, entities or departments that are called something like Data Science Center of Excellence, or basically departments. The purpose of those departments is to make sure that there's fairness in the analysis of the data. You're not being biased towards a specific subgroup in the data, for example, or you're not um, you're not ignoring a very important element into the population that could really cause bad uh, bad outcomes, pretty much. So
Hmm.
also, if that system is scalable,
Yeah.
so you need to be able to, if you test your agentic AI on a specific system, in most cases, in the prototype phase, you're trying to build it, deploy it. It may
Hmm.
work very well on a small data set while you're doing the testing. And
Hmm.
once you publish it on live data, let's say for Facebook, for example,
Hmm.
you will do a test run on a subpopulation in Facebook. But then when you turn it on and Facebook has billions of users, there could be a difference in the performance there, and you may run into some issues. So
Hmm.
constant monitoring is very important for these
Got
systems.
it.
Okay.
Understood. Yeah, I think that's the answer. I hope that addresses your question, whoever had asked that question. Let's proceed now and understand about how the business intelligence roles have evolved or will evolve with agentic AI. Maybe you could address this as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you can see in the bullet points here, we can have an automated real-time insights. This is
Mm,
very useful, especially for the business users that need information and expect that information to change over time. Think of this like in banking systems. You want to spot fraudulent activities, right, on the fly before things really get a lot worse.
mm,
So there's a lot of applications that you can develop using agentic AI that could help with uh, rapid monitoring and real-time insights.
mm, mm,
Also, think about another example in terms of building a pipeline or automated pipeline that could always organize the data. Back that we're talking about data preparation, instead of spending a long time on preparing the data for a specific dashboard, let's say, what you could do is you could give the agentic AI a task that I'm building a dashboard for these metrics, and it could automatically integrate the data together. There's a term we use in data engineering and the data realm. We call it ETL, stands for extract, transform, and load. And this is where agentic AI could be very powerful in preparing and organizing the data for you, not necessarily cleaning it, but also data aggregation is a heavy task sometimes, depending on the objective. So they can organize the data, build a data set we call backend data for your business intelligence dashboard. And from there, they can either give you some insights. So think of this as like a pre-summary before you start your own analysis. It'll help you, start thinking about the data differently. Also give you some insights, ideas, inspiration about where to look in the dashboard, for example.
mm.
Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Understood. So I think let's just switch gears. Basil, a lot of learners have this question about how they can upskill and get ready for these for this evolution and how these roles are evolving. So if you can just highlight the new roles that are coming up with agentic AI in data science and business intelligence.
Yeah, so what we're seeing right now is basically an explosion of new responsibilities and roles. I mean, unlike the misconception that always people are saying, oh, it's going to replace my job, it's going to take some work or duties from my career. That's not true. It's actually creating more job opportunities, right? For example, a very good example here, if you asked me 8 years ago that there was going to be prompt engineer position where someone who is a professional that can craft a very good prompt to get exactly the best outcome from a chat GPT
Hmm.
engine, for example. I mean, that would have been a crazy, crazy talk. But nowadays we see that this is a very required task for a lot of data professionals is to be good at prompt engineering.
Yeah.
So that's one role. Other roles is AI-powered data scientist. That's a very good one. This is where you are flexible and able to work very well with the AI agent. I mean, just think about it this way. AI agent is not there to replace you. It's more like a scenario where it is your assistant, your AI assistant to help you through your data science project, right? So in the past, some data scientists will spend 7 months to a year to finish a project. Now they can work on two, three projects in parallel, right? With the power of AI assistance and that AI powered agent. And then AI driven business analytics. Think of this as when you have so much data to deal with and you don't know where to start. Those AI driven agents basically can come up with, as we mentioned earlier, analyses and summaries that could help you pinpoint where you should look, like what area in your data that you have to focus on and analyze. So think of this as giving you an overall summary that will help you navigate through the complexity of your
Hmm.
data or database.
Correct, correct, correct. So essentially, is this only suitable to some people may have this question, is this only suitable to roles that require complex data analysis or, deriving complex decisions from the data, or is it also suitable to people who are working at a slightly lower scale where they're, where there's less complexity? How does that work?
I think it creates both opportunities for the technical
Hmm. Hmm.
people, and then you have also the business people, because
Yeah.
think about these AI systems. They
Hmm.
need a governing body, right? So you have a position like you mentioned there, or it's listed, the third box, AI ethics and governance. You don't have
Yeah.
to know much about the technology. You're just basically a person that is aware of these different technologies and aware of how they work, but you don't necessarily code for them, but you
Hmm.
understand any concerns, any regulations, or any systems that you have to put to monitor um,
Hmm.
the output of these systems. Another
Right.
field is product management. Product
Hmm.
management, believe it or not, these are the people that are exactly in the middle. They do have some technical background. They understand how things work, but they don't code. And on the other hand, they're able to communicate with business users and stakeholders, right? So they are exactly at the center, and they play a key role of being the liaison between these two departments, right?
Right.
Very tech savvy people and then very business savvy people. So you
Yes.
have to bridge the gap, and that opens the with Agentic AI opens the opportunity for those individuals.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's not just the technical roles per se, but these roles, do they require technical skills? I know we're going to talk about that in a while, but what kind of skills do these roles require? And let's say we're talking about these traditional data science, business intelligence roles, and someone wants to pursue them. What would you recommend to someone starting out?
Yeah, it depends on your objective. So if your
Mhm.
objective is in terms of more of project management, then obviously you need to understand how these systems work hand in hand,
Yeah.
the requirements of these systems. So you need to understand this, think of it as a way where you are trying to work on building a plant. You're a project manager for building a plant. You don't necessarily know how every machine works, but you know how they all integrate together. And you have like a high level view of the inner workings and the way the system is put together. So that would be one. But then if you want to dive deep into the technical aspects, you definitely need advanced technical skills. And when I say advanced, it doesn't mean that you need them right away. Obviously, you can start from scratch, or you can start from the foundations. And one key element, as mentioned in the slide, is mastering AI and ML fundamentals. This is another misconception I see in the industry, especially for the ones that are very excited about this. I mean, excitement and enthusiasm is nice to have, but sometimes it'll make you skip certain stages in your learning journey, which I don't recommend doing. You need to have strong foundations in AI, machine learning, and even data analytics to
Hmm.
start and be very proficient with advanced stuff like AI agents.
Yes, yes, yes. Because the base is definitely, I mean, the fundamental is not going to change. So it is still,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's still giving us insights from data, right? So basically, all of the skills that are required for someone who's a data analyst, data scientist, or in similar data roles,
Yeah.
it's the core of what these roles are, right? So I know a lot of learners are beginners today. So maybe if you could just highlight, some learners had this question already as to what their learning pathway should be, what kind of modules or concepts should they be focusing on. If you can just highlight that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would break this into three main components.
Hmm. Hmm.
Number one would be
Fine.
making a choice about a specific language you want to use to code for these systems,
Yeah.
right? You have to understand a lot of these systems, they still require some coding. Not all of them work in a GUI. What we mean by GUI is like a graphical user interface. A lot of them, they require some coding. Now, with languages like Python, uh,
Hmm.
things are a lot easier to learn, and it's a very readable language, also very modular. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel on building something from scratch. You can borrow from people's code or from previously developed applications. We call them Python libraries.
Hmm.
And that way you will be able to either deploy or customize your machine learning system. And then another one is your ability or comfort to handle complex data,
Hmm.
knowing what data elements you need first, what to look for,
Hmm.
knowing the different data structures,
Yeah.
right? So we have different data structures depending on the level of detail in the data. For example, let's say about a business, you have department level, and then you have the department level, then you have the customer. So these are different levels. Sometimes data sets could be on the department level, and you're running your predictive model on just the department level. Or sometimes you need to go more granular and have your data on the customer ID level. So you
Hmm.
need to understand how you can navigate through these. And so learning about data and data structures is the second most
Got
important
it.
component, or second component that is important.
Got it.
The
Got
third
it.
component that is important is having knowledge and familiarity in statistical analysis.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is very helpful because it will help you understand how some machine learning algorithms work, how you could interpret the data, how you could provide EDA that I mentioned earlier, exploratory data analysis.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Understood. Okay, a lot of interesting questions today, Basil. We actually discussed this before the webinar that, a lot of learners might have basic questions to ask, but we've got, a bunch of in-depth questions. We'll try and address them, but, for the benefit of the entire audience, we're just going to help a lot of learners understand how you can upskill and how you can develop all these skills from scratch through our course, right? So, Basil, we also mentioned this course in the beginning as to how this data science course offers skills that are required for anyone starting out in data science, right? So it offers the most foundational skills that possible. So if you can
Yeah.
just take the learners through the learning path here for the professional certificate course in data science.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a good segue.
Mhm.
So, starting with the very first program. Now, this could be intimidating for some people because it does require some knowledge in programming.
Yeah.
But the way we offer this program is we start from the basics. So whether you are a professional that has some knowledge in programming
Mhm.
or someone who's never dealt with programming, we start with the basics. And our
Mm.
objective here is not to turn you into a software developer, but rather a person who is well versed in programming to a point where you know how to develop applications specific to data science, right? So we focus exactly on the components that matter for data science and deploying machine learning applications. And we talked about Python. We talk about using notebooks, which is a functionality, or let's say an application that allows you to run Python code, test it, build visualizations on top of it, and so on. So that's the first component. And then once you start getting comfortable with programming, then we can move on to the next phase. You need to have this knowledge of data structures, as I mentioned. It's a very important skill. And this is where you learn about a language, very popular language called SQL, stands for Structured Query Language. People also pronounce it SQL. And this is where you're going to use SQL to communicate with databases. I can tell you this, almost 90%, 95% of industries use SQL. So learning SQL will be a very important skill set in your data journey. So you need to understand how you can query data, how you can pull information, how you can develop what we call user-defined functions in Excel that will customize your data analysis. So once you finish the second component, now that you have, if you think about it, you have programming foundations in Python, and then you have understanding of data structures and how to work with data, we can turn into AI and data mastery. You're comfortable now to talk about data elements and different components, different levels of details or aggregation levels. And you'll learn about the foundations of data science, how it works, how we're able to pre-process the data and send it to a machine learning algorithm. And then on top of that, how we could monitor that system, how we could evaluate it. Machine learning evaluation is a big topic because we have different types of machine learning algorithms, and every category has its own evaluation metrics. So you'll get exposure to all of these metrics and the do's and don'ts. And then next stage will be essential generative AI. Because you have good understanding of AI and machine learning, you'll start learning about how generative AI emerged from existing machine learning systems. You'll learn about things like the transformer-based models. Those are basically this is the engine behind models or applications like ChatGPT. That's where the T comes from, transformers. And you'll get exposure to how you could deploy or connect to ChatGPT API, for example, to perform certain tasks. And once you're done with generative AI, we'll look into Python for data science in general. That's an IBM supported course that has, think of this as like a different perspective from IBM applications. And then the last one is very important. It's capstone project. This is where you apply all the skills and the knowledge you've learned throughout the course to apply it on a project. And we have a lot of great real world scenarios that will help you get a good understanding. And think of this as a nice project that you can publish as on your portfolio if you want to showcase your skills.
Got it. Understood. So essentially, anyone who is starting out can be a part of this course. So you were saying, let's say someone is in a non-tech role, and wants to enroll in this course, in the data science course. What what should they be preparing for? Or, I mean, what should they prepare or learn before they join this course? What do you think they should focus
Yeah.
on? And you know,
I get
what
a
are some?
lot. Yeah, I get asked a lot about that question. And I know
Mhm.
it may sound overwhelming at first or intimidating for some people because
Yeah.
there's so much to uncover and so many topics.
Yeah.
But the fact that we believe we start from the basics, regardless of your background, I even for the ones that have some knowledge in data science, they find the foundational courses very informative because they learn about things that maybe skipped during their educational journey or they didn't think about before. So, but yeah, back to the original question is like people who are pivoting in their career. I think the way they need to prepare for this is be curious always. Think about questions that could be answered using data. Try to apply what you learn every day, anything new you learn new in the course every day, and try to apply that in your application or your industry that you're familiar with. And think about it this way, when you couple the new topics you learn with an application you're familiar with or an industry, it becomes a lot easier for you. You pretty much you're smoothing out the learning curve, so to speak. So also dedicate time because it does take time. You have to study, you have to practice as much as possible, find opportunities to stay relevant in the industry, learn about new technologies. You can subscribe to blogs, for example, that talk
Mm,
about emerging technologies.
mm.
Yeah,
And that's how they stay updated, and they're just better prepared for what's coming up in the course. So obviously, data analytics, the core, the basics is Excel. Someone had this question: should they be proficient in Excel first before they
very
decide?
good question.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
recommend that. Being comfortable with Excel is going to help you a lot
mm,
because with
mm,
Excel, even though that it is, I wouldn't say it's a primitive tool, it's actually still advanced and it still offers a lot of
yeah,
pros.
mm,
Um, Having knowledge in Excel will help you understand the different data structures I mentioned earlier.
yeah,
Understanding different statistical functions, right? In Excel, you can perform statistical analysis as well.
mm,
Also, in Excel, you learn about how you can join different tables,
yeah,
which you're going to see similar examples using Python in SQL or SQL.
mm.
So, having some knowledge in Excel is going to help you a lot in your learning journey.
Got it. Understood. Uh, so let's just take a pause here and also talk about some soft skills that are required for data scientists and business intelligence engineers. So in your experience of working and leading teams, what skills stand out for you?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is just an assessment with the people I work with, even when I hire
Hmm.
uh, new people on my team. These are very important. A lot of people actually forget about soft skills. They don't understand how important they are, but they are very impactful and very important. Think
Hmm.
about it this way. You can pretty much come up with the most effective solution using machine learning,
Hmm.
but if you are unable to communicate its findings and outcome, then nobody's going to listen to that. Nobody's going to support it. Let's say you have a board of investors and you're trying to talk about your concept or your project. If you don't know how to communicate it, then they're not going to be convinced. They have to be on board with your concept. And what does that require? Well, obviously, ability to communicate that better,
Hmm.
understanding the background of these individuals. Some people you will be dealing with different types of audience. You have people that um, have some tech background, and you have people who are just purely business, and you can't use a technical terminology with
Hmm.
them, right? You have to basically break things down on a high level
Yeah.
and a very summarized level. So communication is very important. Cross-team collaboration is important. I mean, my best analogy to this is that this is why you don't see one individual scientist coming up with new technology nowadays. It's always teams. If you look at the news, hear about a university that is coming up with a solution. It's a team of students, right? It's
Hmm.
not one individual. You rarely hear about one individual. That speaks volume
Hmm.
because team collaboration is essential. Things are
Hmm.
getting very complicated
Hmm.
or complex in
Hmm.
advance for us. Therefore, you can't have one person working on that task or project. You
Right.
need to collaborate with others, share
Hmm.
knowledge,
Hmm.
and establish dynamic environment with others. So that's
Right.
very important.
Got it.
Continuous learning, I would wrap it up with continuous learning.
Yes.
I mean, I every day I learn something new myself, right? I always look into new insights, new techniques to solve for a specific problem. So continuous learning is essential. And in today's world, it's a lot easier to learn new things. You have
Right.
YouTube, you have LinkedIn, you have journals. Information is available everywhere.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
always work on continuous learning.
I think the willingness to learn, adapt, what's coming up, it's a key skill. Great. I think thanks so much for highlighting equally important skills that are required for these roles. Some questions that we're getting on the chat, also relevant to what we discussed earlier about skills that are required for data scientists and business intelligence engineers is if someone is starting out, let's say, they're in a completely different field, someone is an internal auditor, someone is a software quality assurance tester, someone is looking to start out, or someone has a question whether this course, that the one we discussed about, is suitable for CEOs or leadership roles, or is it suitable for entry level positions? So how or who is it exactly for? I know you are also a trainer, for some of our courses. So could you just highlight what the batch profile is like and how the mix is?
Yeah, I've worked with managers. I've taught classes to people who hold positions where they are leading teams. And
Mm,
in terms of just the technical aspect, obviously with the soft skills, yeah, you get to learn some of that in the course by just seeing how
mm,
certain students can collaborate and work together. And then, the curiosity aspect. But aside from that, the tech skills, what's needed as a manager, well, first of all, you need to learn how these systems work together. You need to learn about the different types of machine learning and AI, right? When one of your employees says that I'm going to use supervised learning for this project,
mm,
and you disagree with that, you have to be able to understand why it's a good or bad idea, right? So you need to have that knowledge, that technical knowledge. And then in terms of coding, think of this as if your plan is not to code exactly, but at least learning, if you read a specific script or code, just understanding the high level structure of it, not necessarily memorizing syntax and knowing in the every little intricate level or every detail. So learning about coding is still helpful to managers, I say. I mean,
mm,
even I lead teams and I still work with code and I
mm,
still
mm.
code myself or sometimes review people's code or try to
Right.
evaluate that. So it is going to be very important
Hmm.
skill. Yeah.
Understood, understood. So, how does one really stay updated with what's coming up? Do you recommend? So, you also mentioned blogs and journals and maybe communities, online communities that help people stay updated with this information. So, do you follow any particular resource or resources? If you have recommendations, you could share it with our learners. A lot of questions were also around that, actually.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good question.
Hmm.
And I would start with LinkedIn. It has a lot of communities and groups that discuss AI and machine learning topics. Also, there's a community for data science called Kaggle. Kaggle is one of my
Yeah.
favorite websites because they offer multiple things. You have, first of all, tutorials. Second, you have the community, a very supportive community. If you post a question, they're able to answer or help you with a specific challenge you're having in your data project.
Hmm.
And then on top of that,
Hmm.
they offer pre-trained models. Pre-trained models, think of those as models that you can, or machine learning solutions that you can borrow
Mhm,
and apply them to your data, maybe tweak them a little bit.
mhm.
And it'll save you a lot of time because it's one of my favorite topics in machine learning is that think about startups that don't have enough funding to build something from scratch.
Yeah,
They can
yeah, yeah.
use what we call transfer learning and borrow from pre-existing models to uh, come up with solutions.
Hmm, hmm,
So these are some of the examples. Medium is a good blog that is not only for data scientists, but also for statisticians, data visualization professionals. So it offers a lot of topics and articles for people who are interested in learning about new techniques.
Yeah, yeah. Also, maybe follow you on LinkedIn, I guess, and follow similar.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a good one as well. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
I try to
yes.
post about new topics, new interesting things every now and then. Yeah.
Absolutely. Also follow, industry experts, people who've worked in the industry. So I think that's a hack to understand what's happening. And then if you don't understand something, you can always look it up in a blog or an article, and then you understand.
Yeah.
You're updated that way. Right. Great, great. So thanks so much for highlighting the next steps and also the skills that are required. So I hope a lot of learners here are clear on what they should do in the world of agentic AI. So maybe I just switch on the chat box and then, we'll just take a quick poll here. So let us know if you now understand how these roles have evolved with agentic AI, how they'll change. Just a quick yes or a no will help. Yeah, yeah, great. And a lot of questions on the Q&A as well.
Hmm.
Yes, great, great, great. So a lot of you did find the insights useful. Amazing, amazing, amazing. So now let us know, what would you need? Let's say you want to become a data scientist, or want to pursue a career in this field. What is exactly required? What is the one thing that you would need to become pursue a career in this field? So would you want a program? Would you want practical exposure? Do you want interactive sessions? You don't want recorded lessons, or just the flexibility to study at your own schedule because you're working as well. Yeah. So just let us know whatever your answer is on the poll that I've launched for audience on YouTube and on LinkedIn. If you guys have questions, yes, we do have questions. Here, someone from LinkedIn has this question, Basil. So how do they really balance decision-making autonomy with human oversight? Like say in high-stake areas, you did mention that with healthcare, it automates a lot of key steps in data analysis. So how can you really balance decision-making with human intervention?
Yeah, a very important question
Mm,
because obviously you don't want things to roll on fully autonomously and then do their own thing. There should always be a structured solution to ensure that AI operates with some guardrails, right? You do want the AI to do its thing at some point where it is actually deriving the conclusion on its own, but you
mhm.
want to keep humans still in control for critical decisions, right? So,
Right.
for example, I saw questions like, can agentic AI prescribe medication? I don't
Mhm.
think we're ready at that point yet. It may
Mhm.
provide suggestions to prescribe this medication, but I mean, just think about the impact if there's a mistake that happens. And even though, the way we test these systems, just to
Mhm.
add more color, the way we test these systems, we look at the false positives and false negatives. And this is,
Right.
in short, understanding how we're able to say how many mistakes the machine made to say this patient has cancer and how many mistakes it made to say this patient does not have cancer.
Hmm.
And you want to deploy a system, you want to minimize those mistakes up to maybe 5 or 6%.
Got
Everyone
it.
has their own criteria. But
Got
my
it.
point, the reason why I'm mentioning this,
Mhm.
there's a still small margin of error that could happen in these agentic
Yes.
AI.
Yes.
So prescribing medication, at least even for one patient,
Hmm.
that could cause a big problem. Obviously,
Yeah.
you'll end up with a very ill patient.
Yes.
Number two, that company could be sued to a point where it could go bankrupt. So
Yes.
it's very,
Yeah.
very critical.
Correct.
So you need to have a balance for safety, ethics, compliance. Every state has its own regulations. We're talking about just United States perspective, but also around the world. I know
No. Hmm.
European Union, they have their own ethics and compliance
Correct.
regulations.
Correct.
You can trust the AI-driven process. They probably will regulate how much influence you want to give these agentic AIs. So it's a new field. So we're learning every day what we could govern, what we could do, what we could implement.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. So yeah, fascinating stuff, but very
Yes.
good question. Yeah,
Yes. 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 But it's important that we strike a balance and keep in mind
exactly.
where we're applying these decisions. Great. Great. So I think I'll just end the poll right here. and we'll just take some more questions in a while. Basil, if you have, could you just
Yep.
quickly tell us how much time do you have? So I know you've looked
Uh,
at time. Yeah.
yeah, about 4 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, okay, cool. So we'll just address a few more questions because Basil has to go, and he's just kind enough to give us another 4 minutes. So Basil, a lot of questions came on how agentic AI is relevant, in different use cases. So I'll just point out one use case, which is the most popular, is how is it important or useful in finance and banking sector? How is it useful there, or understanding or analyzing stock market trends? So if you can
Yeah.
just highlight this and elaborate on this.
Yeah, it's very important. Think of this
Mm,
as
mm,
fraud detection is a very big application, is emerging nowadays, where you want to spot fraud transactions. I would say this is a scenario where relying on AI is not a bad idea because flagging some transaction to be fraud and then blocking it is not as harmful as dealing with healthcare.
yeah,
Because let's
yeah.
just take an example as an individual. You used your card. Let's say you used it. I'll give you an example from the States here.
Mm,
You live, let's say, in Georgia, and then you go to North Carolina and you use your card. Then there could be an automated system that would flag you for a fraudulent transaction. And there's no harm in that. What you could do, you have an application, you can approve that transaction, for example. So obviously you are in a hurry, maybe you need to fill in gas or whatnot, but
mm,
there's no severe consequence to that.
mm.
Therefore, it could be a bit safe, but this is one application where you can use it for fraud detection.
Got it.
Investment, I think some people started using it for portfolio rebalancing. Now,
Mm,
again, you have to know what you're doing because that could cause a lot of losses when you do rebalancing. You're selling equities and then buying new equities. It could cause some losses in the market.
mm,
So I think they still have some human intervention to that aspect where you want to, before you submit, purchase, or sell, you want to have like final approval by the human. But the agentic AI can analyze thousands of equities for you and then give you recommendation for your portfolio and your risk profile, for example.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Got it. Understood. I hope that answers the question on finance and banking, whoever had that question. Someone has a question on, okay, how can he use agentic AI online tools to use for advanced AI interference in my visuals? So he's a Power BI data analyst, and he's making a portfolio for various companies. He's using Copilot for assistance. And I think he's also a part of the applied Gen AI specialization course. So he is able to he can create an agentic AI tool by code as well. So I think he
Mhm.
wants an idea for his final project, as far as I understand. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you can showcase a system in terms of
Mhm.
just portfolio, if you can showcase a system
Yeah.
that is able to um, analyze your data and give you automated insights in general. A system that could dive deep into complex patterns in your data that
Mm.
regular analysis from a human cannot
Yeah.
find.
Yeah.
I think that would be important. You can have what we call adaptive dashboards. That's an advanced topic where you can have AI auto adjust visuals based on specific patterns in the data.
Got it.
Also, if you can showcase how agentic AI can give you a high-level summary
Mm.
of, let's say you have a tracker on daily transactions, for example. You built some tracker on daily
Mm.
transactions,
Mm.
and you have agentic AI to give you a high-level summary of the visuals are being on your dashboard. For
Got it.
example, we have an uptick of our customer segment in the state of California because there's a new trend coming from that source. It depends obviously on your visuals
Mm.
and your access to data.
Got
But find ways where you can have agentic AI helping you derive these automated insights.
got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, great, great. Eamon, I hope that addresses your question. And yes, you will be highlighted before other such sessions. But Bassel, it was great having you today. I know you're running short of time. So just quick final parting thoughts before we talk about the course enrollment. I'll address that with the learners, but maybe you can just leave your parting thoughts.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and I appreciate the thoughtful questions. Those were really good questions.
Yeah, all of them.
My word is basically you guys are on the right path. If you are new to the field, or you're scratching the surface, or you even somewhere in the middle, um, you are on the right path. Just being curious, asking those questions, attending webinars, seeking knowledge, you
Mm.
will get way ahead somewhere,
Yeah.
sometime. It's a process. So
No.
trust the process and keep going.
Right. Great. Thanks so much, Basil, for your time today. It was, I enjoyed listening to you as usual, and I also learned something new today. Great. Thank you so much. And I think learners can stay back, but I'll see you again, Basil. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. So the learners who are here, please hang on for some more time. We're just going to talk about the course. All of you had questions around what the course fee is, right? And I am going to address some questions. I know there are a lot of them on the Q&A box, but I'll try my best to address them, right? So you did hear Basil talk about the course curriculum and what modules the course covers and what are you going to understand, correct? Just a quick highlight on what the course offers. So we've collaborated with Purdue University to bring to you this course, which is called the Professional Certificate in Data Science and Generative AI. So which means you receive a joint certificate from Purdue University and Simplilearn on completion of this course, right? And as a part of this course, because Gen AI and Agentic AI are such evolving fields, and we think that you should be abreast with what's happening in this field, right? So we've got dedicated courses on Gen AI, on prompt engineering, on LLMs and ChatGPT, right? And along with this, we've also collaborated with IBM for offering you a couple of modules, which is the applied data science with Python and also Gen AI skills, correct? So some of you mentioned that you need practical learning and how you can apply these skills hands-on and build your own portfolio and showcase to your future employers, correct? So in as a part of this course, you have access to 25 plus hands-on projects. And someone asked me about tools. Yes. So you're going to be learning all of these tools and a lot more along with these tools, correct? So you are going to understand how fundamentals of data science work, how Gen AI influences data science, and of course, industry masterclasses from IBM and an academic masterclass taken by Purdue faculty and staff. So you're going to be trained by industry best, and this curriculum is also developed by a lot of program advisors, program trainers that are experienced in the field, just like what Bassel is. Okay, so this is how your certificate is going to look like. And what skills you can gain out of this course, what you can expect is all of these. You will understand the fundamentals of data science, like deep learning, model training and optimization. You will understand how statistics works, how data visualization works, how EDA, exploratory data analysis works. You will understand all of this along with many more skills that are required for you to pick up jobs in this domain. Okay, and let me talk about the fees. Yes, a lot of you are interested in learning about the fees. So I think I'll share my screen and show you the course page. Maybe that should help, right? Just give me a minute. So if you head to simplylearn.com, you should be able to find this course I hope my screen is visible. You should be able to find this course under the data science and business analytics category. And this is the course that we're talking about today, correct? So we talked about the key features. You understood how the partnership with Purdue works, how long the course is, and when your application closes. So we'll talk about the application steps, but quickly about the course fee. Now, the course fee that I am showing you right now is for anyone living in India and the US. Let's say you are living in any of the other regions. You can select your own region and understand what the course fee is. Okay, I'm sending the link to the course on the chat so anyone can take a look. So 1 lakh, almost 1,70,000, but you have the opportunity to pay in monthly installments of 7,612 per month with these providers. But if you live in the US and let's say you would want to understand your financing options, all you have to do is to click on the course page, the link to the course page, and understand your options here. Okay, right? So of course, there are scholarships that we offer to people who have attended this webinar, and these scholarships vary based on how much experience you have, how much you meet these eligibility criteria. Okay, so if you are interested in becoming a part of our upcoming cohort, what you can do is let us know a quick yes on the poll that I'm about to launch. Now, if you're watching us on YouTube and on LinkedIn, you may be wondering how you can be a part of this cohort, right? How you can be a part of this course. So we will share the link to the course page on the live chat, or if you're watching us on YouTube, you can find this on the description. So we'll share this link on the live chat, and you can click on the link and then understand the course features and enter your details, submit your application form. But if you're watching us on Zoom, what you can do is give a yes on the poll that I've launched. Now, what happens when you click on a yes? A learning advisor calls you, helps you understand whether you are eligible. Firstly, you can let them know what your work experience is, what your background, what your educational background is. And after that, you can fill up an application form. It's a very simple application form, just asks your basic details, your details on your educational, your professional background, your work ex, and all of that. And once that happens, the admission screening team gets back to you with a decision. Okay, so all through this while, the learning advisor is with you, helping you in your journey to enroll. Now, once we've found out that you meet these eligibility criteria, the admission screening team gives you a confirmation and offers you a scholarship, right? So this scholarship, like I said, varies based on the region that you are in and also, of course, your eligibility. Yeah, right. So in case you're interested, you can select a yes, and I'm going to keep this poll live while I address some questions that are there on the Q&A box. Some questions would have been addressed through whatever I just said about the course fee, about how this course is useful, what this course offers, whether this course is useful for beginners, whether this course is useful for people outside of the tech field. All of these questions are addressed if you can head to the course page. Now you can see, of course, nearly 40%, okay, close to half of them in the cohort belong to the IT field. If you see the rest of the cohort is contributed by people in various industries, not just limited to the tech industry. Yeah. So we've got learners from all of these companies, all of these amazing organizations. So you will have a lot of peer-to-peer learning. You can interact with your peers. Of course, you have the opportunity to interact with your mentors and also your peers as a part of the cohort. So in fact, the sessions happen in a very similar fashion as today. So a trainer covers a certain course module and whatever that is. And then towards the end of the session, you're also able to interact, get your questions addressed. Okay, so it happens in a very similar fashion, of course. On a much smaller level, the cohort size is limited because we also want to make sure that we offer the best experience. Okay, right? So in case you're still interested, what you do is to select a yes. Yeah. And what happens after the course, after you enroll in the course, is that you get access to something known as a learning management system. So through this learning management system, you get to access your lessons, the entire modules. You get to access the support. You get to access who your mentors are, check who your mentors are, and of course, interact with your peers during a live session. Let's say you miss a session, then you get access to the recording after the live session is done. So all of this you are able to access on one platform, and of course, what your capstone project is and all of that. And towards the end, you unlock your certificate for both, for the IBM courses and also the Purdue and Simplilearn, the certificate that I showed you. Okay, right? So that is how the learning management system works, and that's what happens after you enroll. Now, you may want to understand how our learners have benefited. What is the outcome that I will get out of this course? Will I be able to leverage this and, find a new job and maybe step up in my current role? Definitely. So let's say you are switching jobs. We offer something known as the job assist. So what happens with job assist is in no means job guarantee, not a job guarantee. I'm repeating this because a lot of learners have this misconception that we help people find jobs. We help people refine profiles so that they can find a suitable job. So we'll make sure that your profile is optimized, your resume is optimized, help you understand how you can prepare for interviews, help you with mock interviews, mentor you, help you understand what kind of questions come up. And that is how the career support works, the Simplilearn Job Assist works. So this is a part of the course. You get this in addition along with whatever you get in the course. Correct? So all in all, what happens is that you understand the core fundamentals of data science and how GenAI influences data science. You understand through live projects with the help of your trainers, and you're able to apply these learnings practically, and through this you're able to demonstrate confidently to your future employers, sorry, on how you are a suitable candidate. And of course, our learning management system and the job assist just add to what we offer, just support you in your journey of switching careers or upskilling and leveraging these skills in your careers, right? So if you want to take a look at some learners that have graduated from this course, you can take a look at Priya's journey. I've given you the link to the course page. Yeah. So while you do that, I have left the poll live so that you can click a yes and a learning advisor contacts you. Now, let's say you interacted on the live chat bot here, or submitted your details. Also works perfectly. Someone will still call you and help you understand the enrollment steps. Okay. Yeah. So in case you guys are clear about the enrollment steps, I'm just going to open up the chat box. Quick yes if you are clear. And let me head to the Q&A box very quickly. So there are some countries that we don't take enrollments from. So if you're from Uganda, you can still select a yes, and a learning advisor is the best person to answer this. Okay. Someone has a question about, okay, I'm a student currently pursuing diploma in data, has all basics, but I'm not sure entirely how about being ready in data science or data analytics. What is a useful tip which can help me in becoming better and more confident? I think what would help you is structured learning here. I'm so sorry, one sec. Yeah, sorry. So I think what would help you here is structured learning and also demonstrating the fact that you can be ready for data science roles through a portfolio. And I think this course is like the perfect fit to that gap. Okay, that's what I would suggest, but I leave the decision to you. Great, Nripatanga, it's glad to have you in the course and happy that you've taken the decision and also attended this webinar. Okay. So someone who was a quality assurance tester had been laid off and is trying to find an entry-level AI job. What is the best entry-level course that would help him get an entry-level job in AI? Now, someone had a question about AI and ML as well, so I'm going to address that along with this. Now, the course that I talked about all this while was the data science and generative AI course. So we also have a course in AI and machine learning, a similar course in partnership with Purdue University. Now, I am going to send the link to the course page on the Q&A box for people to access. Okay, so if I'm correct, pronouncing your name correctly, Pareng, here is the link to the AI and ML course for you to understand what it offers. And it also offers all the key skills that you need to become an AI engineer. Now, questions around webinar certificate, you will submit your names in a while and we will share the certificates in the next 24 hours. Now, along with the certificate email, you get the link to the recording. Unfortunately, we won't be able to share the slides. Michael, who had this question, we won't be able to share the slides, but we'll share the recording. Okay. Great. So now that all of you are clear about the enrollment steps, whoever has given us a yes, amazing. Thank you so much for expressing interest in the course. Let's see how many responses we've got. Okay, so we've got half of you actually in this session who are interested in the course, which is amazing. Great, great. Glad to see that you took the first step in upskilling because that's what is required, that small nudge, from your own self that you want to learn something new and grow in your career, right? So, of course, don't be overwhelmed by looking at the course fee because you can manage that with the installment option that I mentioned and also the providers, the payment providers that we've partnered with in order to ease the burden of you. Okay. And a similar such arrangement is available for the US learners and also for people in the UK, Europe, also Singapore and other such countries. Yeah. So all you have to do is to head to the course page and understand your options. Okay. So I'm going to end this poll right here. And, just a quick thank you to all the learners who took this step once again. And remember that if you're in the US, you will receive a call in the next couple of hours or 2-3 hours. If you're in India and the rest of the world, you might receive a call tomorrow. Okay, great, great. So now that we know who is, going to be a part of the upcoming cohort, if they pass all the eligibility criteria, that is, now let's just understand how much you like the session, because that's really important for me as well to try and bring more such interesting sessions to you with more such interesting speakers. I'm going to launch a rating poll, and right after that is going to be the poll for webinar certificate. Okay, so let us know how you like the session. And mind you, we do take feedback seriously. So let's say you want us to do something better, let us know in the poll. Okay. And it can be anything. I'm sorry, I have a bad nose, which is why my voice is cracking up a bit. Great, great, great. Raghav and everyone else who are sending their names, please wait till we ask you your names. Not yet, not yet, not yet. Okay, let me see the Q&A box. Again, Kenya, Uganda, I'm not sure because of certain restrictions. What you can still do is head to the course page. I've showed you, the path for reaching the course page, right? So you can take a look and still apply and see what a learning advisor has to say. Okay. A&M, I am not sure about how or what your score in high school is, and I'm not the best person here. I may not be able to answer that question specifically about your physics score. But what matters is that you have a high school, you've graduated from high school and you also have a undergrad degree. That's what matters. Yeah. Great. Great. So thank you so much for rating us. Again, only half of you have rated us. So it'll be amazing if the rest of the half rate us as well. Guys, please don't share your names on the chat. I cannot capture that or I may not be able to use that. Wait till I launch the certificate poll. Yes, wait. I'm going to switch off the chat box because all of you are getting this wrong. Yeah, just wait till I finish the rating poll and give you a poll for giving your names, entering your names. Let's see, audience on YouTube. Yes, obviously. So if you are in the financial services sector, this course is also useful for you because data science is industry domain agnostic, right? You can still pursue this course and be a part of our upcoming cohort and add to the diversity of the learners that we have. Yeah. Let me see audience on LinkedIn. They have got questions. Let me see. Meanwhile, audience on YouTube, also let us know how you liked the session. If you liked it, just a quick thumbs up or a reaction will help. Yes, Vedant, definitely. Vedant has this question: is the financial market vertical position a perfect fit? Well, whether it's a perfect fit for you depends on what you want in your career. So make sure you are charting out your career goals clearly, okay? And then understand whether this course will fit, okay? Great. So I'm just going to end this poll right here on rating. Thank you so much, learners, for giving us a 5 and a 4. A lot of you gave us a 5 and a 4. And yes, I am going to read those feedback messages that you've written to us. Okay. And the much awaited webinar certificate poll. Yes. So now is when you enter your names, your full name only, and not your email ID. And please make sure you enter it in the way you would want it to be displayed on your certificate. Okay. Yeah, all those people who entered your names on the chat, you will have to use the poll because we don't save these chat messages. Yeah, we only look at certificate poll for sending out webinar certificates. Now, what you can do with a webinar certificate is share it on LinkedIn, tag Bassel, and let him know how you enjoyed the session. Tag Simplilearn, let us know how you enjoyed the session. Some of our learners have actually gone on to write, insights that they gained. They've shared Instagram stories. So let that could be a great words of encouragement for us for making sure that we offer more such sessions in the future. Okay, great, great. So I'm just going to wait around for a few more minutes for all of you to enter your names. In case you're watching us on LinkedIn or on YouTube and you would want a webinar certificate, make sure you email us at webinars@simplilearn.net, which is webinars@simplilearn.net. If you're watching us on social platforms, if you're watching us on Zoom, you just enter your name on the poll. Okay. And audience on LinkedIn and YouTube, you also can share your certificate on Instagram and on LinkedIn. Tag us. Let us know what you liked, what you learned from the session. Just some words of encouragement for us as well. Yeah. Okay. Also, while we do this, I would love to know what you guys would like to see next. Some of you said, are we going to get more such sessions? Keep us posted on these sessions. So what would you like to see next? Just on the chat. Let me open up the chat. Let me see. What would you like to see next? Or understand, learn in data science, data analytics? What would you like to see? What would you like to learn? NLP, okay. Tanmay, cybersecurity, Akshat, okay. We just did a cybersecurity webinar last week. Prompt engineering, machine learning, noted, data analysis. Okay. Web development with AI. Okay. Hands-on session, yes. We had this request the last time as well. Hopefully, yes. Hopefully very, very soon. Okay, about neural networks, AI, machine learning. Data science, we just covered today about data science roles. If you can be more specific, it'll be great. What would you like us to cover? Okay. Someone said hands-on application of Agentic AI. That's very interesting. How to get people on Zoom? Sana, you enter your name on the certificate poll. That's how you get your certificate. Okay, let me see. Data visualization and R. By these responses, I'm assuming you would want us to cover these concepts. Okay. Karen, if you've entered your name, you don't have to do anything. Yes, we're almost done. We're just collecting a few more names and then we're done with the session. I'm just trying to understand what our learners would want to see next. Yeah. Okay. UI UX design. Okay, a lot of diverse requests. Great. Share. Okay, some case study with a sample data set would help. Amazing, amazing, amazing. about AI governance. Okay, interesting. A lot of interesting suggestions today, a lot of interesting questions today. It was great hosting you, and also all of your enthusiasm about learning was just infectious. That kind of motivated us to push ourselves a bit more and then make sure that all our questions are addressed, all our learners are clear about what they should do next and how they should go about. Some really interesting questions on how agentic AI is useful in certain sectors, like say finance, healthcare, legal sector. Some questions from YouTube were really interesting. So kudos to you guys for taking the time out, right? And thanks so much for your suggestion. Thank you, Sandesh. Thank you, everyone else. Okay, so I'm just going to end the poll right here. In case you missed out on entering your name wherever you're watching us, please email us on webinars@simplilearn.net and we will email you the certificate. Okay. So until next time, make sure you are upskilling, learning new things, just like what Bassel pointed out, and you are keeping yourself up to date with what's happening in the industry, right? So I'll see you again in another session. Bye bye then.